Samuela Davidova, you promote libertarian philosophy, freedom, and remote work. You also serve as a representative of Liberland, a self-declared micronation founded by Czech libertarian activist and politician Vít Jedlička. Located on a small piece of land between Croatia and Serbia, Liberland is not currently recognized by any member of the United Nations. What drew you to work with Liberland, and how do you see it challenging or complementing existing state structures?
Hello. Thank you for having me in the first place. Okay, I joined Liberland now. I think it's been 3 years, which is quite, it's been a journey, I would say, and it's incredible because the country is evolving at a high pace. So you can see how the connections and the collaborations compound over time. First, I started as the representative to Georgia, where I reside. Georgia, the country, not the state. And this is my home in Georgia. And here I joined. There are a lot of libertarian communities. I was very surprised. For to bring you some context, Georgia is like 3.5 million people country, and the capital is 1.5 million people. Uh, it's quite small, but I think there were at times some 13 communities which were related to the libertarian philosophy or education. It's a lot. It's like a lot. And they were active. I mean, active. So I had a chance to connect with local Students for Liberty, Ayn Rand Center. There was like a think tank dedicated to education of high school students at one particular university, etc., etc. It was mind blowing and very encouraging at the same time. So there was a high interest into libertarian stuff and into Liberland as well. Um, and yes, so this is like how I sort of started. So I started promoting Liberland in Georgia, but it's not just a philosophical or educational concept. We actually do things. So over time, we transited more into the business area here, and I connected more with people who are in blockchain. We are a governmental DAO. We are also connected to blockchain ourselves. And thanks to the collaboration of with local libertarian communities, I managed to have two podcasts actually. We called it simply Liberland in Georgia. And I was like, what value we can create for the country here. And so I decided to bring more awareness to local business scene. So I have a couple of interviews that are still present on YouTube or maybe even Spotify. And I aimed to showcase local business scene to the international level to show what kind of people, what kind of projects are here that really stand out. Actually, there are a lot of people here are active on a global scale or bring some very competitive advantages to people who may want to use the opportunities from abroad. And so this was a great value actually we created here. And over time, I decided to transit more into press secretary role, which was mostly last year. So I was overseeing the marketing activities and say PR kind of on the global scale, which was great. And then I stepped down on the Georgian side. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to do marketing. Like it's a great thing to do, of course, but it can be overwhelming as well. And I started speaking more around the world at the conferences because we also have a limited amount of people actually who can travel and are willing to speak and so on. And then I got quite a bigger picture on Liberland. Meanwhile, it's been already after 2 years I was very active. It was my volunteering kind of thing. So I got a lot of information, a lot of context. And so I could transit more into representation and deliver keynotes at the conferences. And at the conferences around the world, I met people. And so I initiated some partnerships. And I'm thinking a lot in this, like, positive sum game kind of, what can we do together? Can we create a value somewhere? And then Liberland, yes, we do have a territory between Serbia and Croatia. And of course, we focus on the local, both diplomatic size and the community level, how we can create the value over there. We have an investment plan now in the surrounding area, both in Croatia and Serbia. And so we try to really bring more value into the territory and surrounding places. But we are very active globally. We have a community of 800,000 people and much more in awareness, of course. Like you yourself contacted us after the documentary at Arte, which was great. And I'm quite sure at this point, like, certainly a couple of millions of people watched it. So there was a documentary done now in April during our 10th anniversary. 10th anniversary. I mean, we haven't like started yesterday. So of course now it all compounds and we have much higher awareness. And so yeah, now we have this beautiful documentary that must be a very dedicated work, and I admire the team to bringing it all together. They were accompanying us to our Serbian village, which is very close to Liberland, during our anniversary celebration, and then to Dubai, where we were speaking at a conference to actually show both of the sides, which sort of makes sense. So we do things globally, and we aim to bring value on the global scale and locally. But it all takes time, and as I mentioned, it compounds. I can see how now many rooms where I enter, people already know what we do. And that's very easy. Imagine, I don't know, you work for Apple, right? So everyone sort of understands what Apple is. You enter any room and people know what sort of you do. In particular circles, especially in blockchain communities, a lot of fintech projects, I would say as well, know a lot of investor circles, a lot of entrepreneurial circles do know, because we represent values that are of their own as well. So to them, it's sort of easy to understand what we do.
And the Liberland passport has been portrayed by some, including outlets like Arte, as symbolic and functionally meaningless due to the lack of international recognition. How do you respond to such criticism, and what practical value, legal, diplomatic, or symbolic, does the Liberland passport currently offer to its holders?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. Okay, personally for myself, I do like the perception of Taoism. And why? Because to me, there's a big value in creation in the first place. And this is to me what Liberland actually represents. So I will just make a little step back for the context. And that is, so we do operate sort of at the current status quo, which is, let's say, the social construct that we all play with. And that is, okay, so there are territories and there are countries and there are national values and there are national documents. And I would say many people are locked into this being a given, which is like permanent. But it's a context into which we were born and we took as our own. But it's a social construct. It's something that people came up with. It's not like it was given. No, like if you take a plane, you see that there's a beautiful nature, and the nature doesn't care about the borders, right? And so based on this social construct, there is also a legal framework which states what is a country. And to be a country, you need to have a territory, permanent population, capacity to create diplomatic relations, and population. Territory, permanent population. Oh, wait, diplomatic relations. Oh, and sorry, government. You need to have a government. And then we are libertarians, and we're like, wait, we want to have a minimum government because that's exactly what we find fault is sort of. And so we do have a very small government because we have to in order to be a country. So based on that, based on a legal framework, which agrees with the social construct that there are states, there are countries, we're like, okay, you want to play this game that there are countries, then we are in, and we will bring our values within your framework. We believe it's possible and it's doable. And let's take from what is already there, say Singaporean principles, say some Swiss direct democracy kind of principles. In Switzerland, you have small cantons and there's a direct democracy principle. How can it be implemented, right? Somewhere else. And it seems that it's very efficient, etc. So you can take some best practices which are already existing and also upgrading it. Like, well, we believe into having transparent elections. How to do it? Oh, well, there's blockchain, which actually solves exactly this problem. And all our governance is currently fully automated. We can literally help, and we are very happy to do that. We can help other countries to implement blockchain into their governance. Of course, here you meet with the fact that like governments be like, oh, well, that's maybe far too much transparency than we would expect. And this idea and this concept which we created brought together quite millions of people who share the same value. And if you tell that, well, your passport is useless because you cannot enter the EU, I'm like, actually, I don't care, because first I understand that to build a country, it takes time, and we are taken seriously. Yes, to convince governments, it takes quite time. And I can tell I'm very happy to see which kind of people stand by our side. And there are a lot of governmental representatives as well on the global scale. So I can see that it's just a question of time. And I already can see over the last 3 years how the activities compound. And maybe if we are not recognized by UN states at this point, okay, so what? But we are recognized by the market. And market players are like, oh, we love this. And so, again, like say the society works on the social construct level where we are playing with flags and, national anthem and all these things. And that's great. Like, but if you step back a bit, you also see a lot of other concepts, be it parallel societies, be it people who are all in crypto, who don't have any bank account, be it people who don't have passports, whatever. Like, there are people operating in different ways around the world, and you will say it's crazy because it's not common. But just because like something is sort of common and or the norm, it doesn't mean it's normal or that it's rational actually in the first place. And if you jump into the alternative sort of spaces, despite I think we're kind of normie actually. We have a country, come on, we have a government. We're very, very normie, like in this way. So there are a lot of people, like really millions, who think the same way. So to them, we are kind of like, nothing unusual because we're just another country, kind of. Of course, to people who are very conservative, who are locked into a very fixed mindset, who seek the traditional government to guide own life. So to them, we are very weird. To me, it's very difficult to speak at the conferences in the Western countries because it's so like far from the way of thinking that I feel like explaining myself. And here I get to the question of like, how do we face the critic? Honestly, I think the upcoming year, we will not be like focusing that much on the Western countries because it's a lot of wasted effort. Like, I'm not here actually to tell people, oh, well, you are here to trust into what we are doing. You are here to acquire our values, because this is not a concept. It's actually the total opposite. We're not fighting anyone. We are not fighting and telling the other countries, guys, your politics is so socialist. No, no, no. We don't care. I mean, this is your problem. We mind our own problem. We do care about what we do because we have a lot of our tasks to fulfill. We're not here to tell, well, this place is socialist. And so we do not really, well, critics, okay, well, thank you for sharing our vision to a bit more people. Maybe someone understood it, maybe someone didn't, but well, this is how it is. Look, well, we just had this documentary at the TV, and they did a great job. But I understand that at the core, the mindset is very different to our values and to maybe how we see the world. But we're actually happy that they portrayed it in their own way, because that's how they want to do it, and that's fine for us. So we are not here to convince anyone, but I can see already that the fact that we exist, we already change the word perspective of a lot of people, and that's quite, I'm telling it, I have goosebumps, because that's actually the thing. So someone criticizing something, okay, that's fine, but I'm sorry, I'm already too busy, because, well, again, building a country takes a bit of time. So
Liberland has developed a dual token blockchain system with the Liberland Dollar LLD for transactions and Liberland Merit LLM for governance. How do you envision this model shaping the future of digital nationhood, and what safeguards are in place to ensure transparency and security?
mm, yeah, well, the transparency is sort of built up in the blockchain system. It's my colleague who handles all the blockchain infrastructure and stuff, just to like sort of answer this. And then this is quite an interesting concept. So let's imagine this not be Liberland, but in general, like you have your own country, and then you would have double currency, kind of one that you would use to, but it's one first, it's not mandatory. Like if you want to use other currency like Bitcoin or US dollars, you are free to do it. And then the reality check when you look at certain countries is that people exactly do it. Like you will enforce your national currency because the state has the ownership and sort of the central control of it, right? That's the usual narrative of the countries. But then people are often, in many countries, they are using US dollars for the exchange. Like in Georgia, it's a country between, Middle East, Europe, Asia, but I'm paying my rent in US dollars, despite there's an official law. But this is how people, you have laws, and then you have the reality. And no matter what a strong government you may have, people actually do decide what they want to do with their effort, with the value they created. I mean, the money that they have. And well, if they choose US dollar, that means that, well, they choose US dollar and they will just use it and they will not really ask you. I mean, you can enforce it and it is enforced, right? But this is the reality. So yes, so you have a currency, say of a country, which you are using, but here we do have a second token which is separate, and it is the Liberland Merit, as you mentioned, and it is connected to the elections, and it is also connected to the amount of effort, to the amount of value you provided to the country. I was volunteering for my Liberland Merits because I do believe into the vision. And I was like, oh, I want to have a passport of Liberland, and I do want to create value for Liberland. And in exchange, I was rewarded by Liberland Merits. And and this way, I later got my Liberland passport. I'm happy about. But then there are people who decided, like, okay, I'm the entrepreneur. I have a lot of money, and I like the idea as well. And I want to get my passport, and I will do it by investment, which is now, if you invest 10,000 US dollars, you are rewarded with your passport for your citizenship, and also you get 5,000 Liberland Merits in exchange. So and that's basically also your share in the country. So it's quite certainly that's a controversial concept, because like, oh wait, so my voice in, say, elections is not equal to someone else? Yes, it's not. And here we just had a quiet discussion. We are very transparent about these things too. We have an official forum, which you can Google, and they're having the account on liberland.org. You can also participate in the forum, and you can discuss the ideas. And just now, our citizens were opening this up. They were like, oh, well, why we don't have this traditional democratic system, which we are used to already? And we're like, I was like, man, you know, I actually put quite a lot of effort into making Liberland grow. I would find it myself quite disappointing, and it would make me angry to see that the amount of impact I made is not the same as someone else. And so why the person who, you know, haven't really participated that much, why should he have the same value of his voice? It's actually not fair. So I contributed more, and someone else didn't contribute it, say, you know, contributed on some basic level, which is the bare minimum he has to. I think that's already great. But then, and only then, you are allowed to vote and to decide on the country's future. That's actually quite a good thought to think about. Like, first, you have to contribute in order to decide on the country's future. And then you see, you have like people who haven't contributed, and they're like, I want to decide. No, wait, what, why? And what is the natural reaction of mine is that I find it fair to be and it's open. Like, if you don't have money, you can contribute by volunteering. You can the idea is you create value, and then you get value in return, and you get a sort of share in the country. But it's not the same currency which is used for the exchange of, we have Liberland dollar. Liberland dollar, you can buy it on exchanges. You don't need to be a Liberlander. You don't need to be our citizen. You don't need to necessarily, you know, whatever. But you can already benefit from the currency, because when you look at other currencies, like let's call it the currency on the blockchain, a lot of them exist just for its own sake. For us, it's sort of a utility token in a way that you can utilize it, and we aim to utilize it and we do already use it, say, for paying out a minister. So the ministers are paid in Liberland dollars. So yes, there's a dual kind of token idea, and I find it very valid.
Okay. And last question, because we don't have a lot of time left, but what are the next concrete steps in Liberland's development, both in terms of gaining broader international recognition and establishing real-world infrastructures or presence in its claimed territory?
Yeah, thank you. I will try to keep it short, but to give you an idea. So again, as I mentioned, we focus both on the local ties and on the global ties. So globally, we will keep going to conferences. We organize community meetups around the world. We have a very strong team in the US, very strong team in Argentina. This is, I would say, some of our, I don't know if it frees now. I'll get. All right. So we have a great team in Argentina as well. Yes. So in Argentina, we are planning now in November, there will be 2 big events related to blockchain. And we have also worked on the local ties with the local Libertarian Party. We have some sort of agreement with them, and we are in touch with them. This is great. We plan to organize 2 quite big meetups in November there, which is pretty great. There will be some more people coming from all around the world, so it makes sense. Also, I would love us to be even more active in the US. So I will now aim for us to be present at more conferences over there, because still, I would say it's some of it's maybe the biggest market for us. First, because they sort of understand the values. B, because of we have most of the citizens actually in the US, so it only makes sense to compound that. Then also I was wondering, I would love to try to be a bit more active on the Swiss market because we haven't really done much there, but it would be good. And now we got quite a nice messages from people in Switzerland after the documentary, which was on the European market level, went out. So this is interesting because also it sort of meets our values, but we understand that, well, it's interesting for us. I want to try it. So this is one of the hypotheses. And then certainly, like from recognition perspective, to us, I think it's easy in Latin America. So we will continue our efforts over there. We have Paul Victoria, who is an economist. He's specialized in the Latin American countries and Spanish-speaking countries. So he represents us over there, and he sort of oversees our efforts over there. And also, I am more active in Asia. I love Asia. And then it's quite interesting. Like, there are so many interesting people when you look at Hong Kong or Singapore, but also at other, like, smaller or different, different countries. Then we are pretty active in Middle East. And I think, to be honest, just it super makes sense for us to even strengthen the ties over there because what we build is sort of innovative. And it's very hard to swallow in Europe, but it's super normal when you come to Dubai or Qatar. So I hope that in the next months we will be more active there. So this is like from the global perspective. Locally, as I already mentioned, so we have a quite decent investment plan, which is really great. So we would bring much more tourism into both the Croatian and Serbian part. So part of our current effort is actually to offer investment to other people. And well, for us, it's like creating value locally, but like we would love to bring more investment into the territory, surrounding territory, and also create the value to the surrounding countries. And of course, we maintain and improve the connections locally. On both community level and so on. But like, you have Serbia, which is a big country, you have Croatia as well. But then we focus on very, very local area in this investment plan, but also on the ties on the government level. So yes, and then also last year I initiated a space program, and it can sound super strange, but actually in a way, if we would bring more libertarian perspective to the legal way on the global scale in terms of the space, so we could actually alter the status quo as well and have some quite a good impact. And why I mentioned this, and it is very important, is that space programs and space agencies are very governmentally connected. And there are a lot of things that could be improved and which would lower the costs for space programs to other countries. Say Bhutan has a space program, okay? It's a very small country. We have more supporters registered with us than Bhutan has citizens, okay? And they have a space program and they optimize certain things. I am in touch with them. But say it's very costly for such a small country to even send a satellite to have the territory images. But that's very important for them from the diplomatic perspective. So it's quite interesting and it's very non-obvious, but there are certain ways how we could create value for smaller countries. And in exchange for creating values for them, well, we would love to get some nice recognition. So we now have quite a decent space sort of community that is supporting us. And we would love to try, to see what we can do here. And again, like from, say, innovative perspective. So, for example, implementing blockchain into the ways how the current space program is done on the country level, it would be awesome because it would simplify it. It would really cut the costs. It's, imagine you're a science engineer doing things in space and half of the time and half of the money goes to bureaucracy. That's insane. And then us being libertarians, I'm like, oh my God, this is the thing. You have a lot of space companies registered in Liechtenstein, not because they would leave from Liechtenstein, but because of their legal framework. So we could do the same with Liberland. And that's one of the opportunistic way, but I'm sure that it doesn't end here. This is just really very random things. We are also, well, I mentioned the US and the conferences, but we are very active there on the diplomatic level and so on. So it's a lot of work. We have more than 100 representatives around the world in, well, more than 100 countries. And well, I think I gotta go already because there's so much to
You
do.
have to
So
finish,
yeah,
but
it's quite exciting.
thank you very much for your time, Samuela. Yeah, pleased to meet you.
Thanks to you. It was my pleasure. I hope that it